G'day everybody, my name is Elliot Waters and you're listening to the Dysregulated podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. So just a quick little check-in to see how things are travelling. I just completed an online webinar where I presented with my co-host Pam, who's a clinical psychologist. We co-presented our presentation on teens' mental health to 120 parents from across the country. So if you're one of those people who are in the audience and you're listening now, thank you so much for looking my podcast up and giving me this hit of dopamine. I really, really appreciate it. Tell you what, I was nervous before doing it. It's been a little while since I've done one. But yeah, I was very nervous and I had this bad feeling that it was going to go terribly. And you know what? It probably went the best it's ever gone. So there you go. Who would have thought that potentially that would be the outcome? Not me about 2 hours ago. There's a lot sort of going on at the moment. So there's I'm presenting next week at the Hunter Medical Research Institute's Healthy Mind Summit. So I'm going to be presenting on behalf of the Every Mind Institute. I might even do a bit of a run through of what I want my speech to sort of sound like here on the potty. Essentially, it's going to be an impassioned plea. So the room will be full of researchers and academics. And then you've got people like me, the lived experience experts, who carry the most value in the room. And I sort of want to convey that message to the academics that are sitting there in front of me. And what I really want to tell them, though, is that, so it's being done at the Mater Hospital. Now, if you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you would know the Mater Hospital and Elliot goes a long way back, especially when it comes to mental health. I was actually born there. I forget that sometimes. I was born at the Mater, and I've been institutionalized almost at the Mater on a few occasions, by choice, that is. That's not a good word. That's a stigmatized word. Admitted to the ward, that's much better. Many times at the Mater. So it's going to be surreal to instead be presenting in their lecture hall to all these academics and researchers. And I'm going to pretty much just say to them that there are so many poor people in the wards just across from where we're talking here today, in the Lake Macquarie and Newcastle psych wards, I've been in both, that are desperate for answers, desperate to understand what's going on, and desperate for hope and a way forward. And unfortunately, I've found in my experience as a psychological student and as a researcher, that a lot of the research and evidence that is produced really is aimed at getting published in journals more than aimed at the end user, the mental health consumer, which often is the person who is, going through a mental health crisis. These are the people we need to be thinking of when we do these research investigations and interventions, not the people who decide if something gets entered into a journal or not. So that's going to be the general premise of my presentation, and I'm going to try and make it as emotional as I can. I think I will, because I'm feeling it already, that's for sure. It's going to be surreal. As I said, I was born at the Mater Hospital. I felt like I was dying multiple times at the Mater Hospital and wanted to as well. And this time I'm going to be presenting using that experience of those terrible, terrible memories to try and drive a bit of change within at least the local academic community. So there you go. What else is going on? Well, there is a huge episode I'm going to be doing as soon as I have the energy and the ability. It's on retroactive jealousy. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on here before, but it is coming, and I'll tell you, it is going to be the most revealing episode so far of the podcast when it comes to me and how I unfortunately operate in the world, or used to, when it comes to relationships. So is it going to be an easy one to do? Definitely not. That's why I haven't done it yet, because this is as raw as it gets for me. This retroactive jealousy, if you want to Google it just to get a bit of a heads up, it has been a huge problem in every single one of my relationships, every single one. And to be honest with you, it's not something I've been able to grapple with very well, even to today. And that in the fact that the retroactive jealousy keeps popping up is one of the reasons why maybe in the dating world I'm sort of pulling back a little bit. But I don't want that to be, how it all ends up. And the point of this episode isn't just to provide first-hand insight into what retroactive jealousy is like, as well as some information from the literature and all those researchers that I'll be rubbishing next week. But I also want to offer the ways forward and the ways out of retroactive jealousy. And I want to do that for two reasons. One, for your benefit as the listener, but also two, for mine as well, because I need to reinforce to myself, and writing this episode has been quite good for that. It's been quite cathartic as well. I need to reinforce in myself that there is a way through this retroactive jealousy, and eventually, doing the right things, I'll be leaving it all behind, and that'll be pretty exciting. There's also going to be a My Therapy Reflections episode coming shortly. That one's just about ready to go. Again, I just need the sort of mental capacity to sort of get it down and get it recorded. That'll be pretty cool because we're doing some different things in therapy that maybe yours truly hasn't really done before, and we're already starting to see results, and I really want to tell you all about that. And the last thing too is that my mental health the last couple of weeks has been okay, but unfortunately the last week it took a bit of a negative turn, and that's because, and it's hard for me to say this, but I found out some extra details around some lies and betrayals, I suppose, that happened between me and my ex-girlfriend. And unfortunately, this, a year and a half later since we broke up, there's more details coming to light, which I don't want to know. I don't want to know anymore. But the fact of the matter is that has really rocked my world a little bit. Eventually, I'm going to do an episode on it because I'm going to have to, because it's huge. And it may be called Lies and Betrayal, I'm not sure. But just a hint, it has a lot to do with the retroactive jealousy as well. So there's a lot to it. There's going behind, two timing sort of stuff, and there's this jealousy of the past that isn't in the present. So, why are we so stressed about that? There's a lot of different sort of forces from both sides that were going on, and I'm going to have to go into it soon. And the fact is, unfortunately, just recently I found out a little bit more detail about those things, and that's taking a little bit to absorb. So, but the good thing is, actually, the day after that I sort of found out these extra details, I had a psychology appointment, which went really well, which I'll be telling you all about in the next Therapy Reflections episode. All right, thank you for listening, everybody. That's the latest, I think. And I'm Elliot Waters, and you're listening to the Dysregulated podcast.